In the last screencast, we made saturation and vibrance masks. Now let's apply them. So here's where we left off, and we look and we see that we have that layer that we generated to create the saturation and vibrance masks. Now this layer clearly has messed up our image, so we can just throw it away because we've already made those masks now. So I'm going to throw that layer away. I'm going to go back into my channels palette, and I'm going to go down. And the saturation mask and vibrance mask combined can do three things. It can rescue oversaturated colors, it can increase low saturation colors, and then we can use these both because they're derived from the same image. We can use both masks to balance the saturation and the saturation of the image. So let's look at that. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to click on my saturation mask, I'm going to load that mask, and then I'm going to go back into my layers palette, and I'll make a hue saturation layer for that. Okay. Whoops, I forgot to change my RGB to change back here. So let me go back. Let me back up my history. I always do this. Go back here, load selection, delete layer. Okay. Go here. Come on. Okay, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back to my saturation mask. I'm going to load that as a selection. I'm going to go back to my RGB. I'm going to go back to my layers. And now I'm going to go and make a hue saturation adjustment layer. Okay, like so. And I'll make sure that I change my blending mode here to saturation. And I'll just go back, and first thing I can do is pull back some of these oversaturated colors. You can see how it's kind of pulling some of that. Now, because it's a mask, you know, the pixels are self-feathering, and it also has to be a somewhat aggressive kind of change there. But you can see that I am getting my desaturation there. And then if I want to saturate more, I can go in here and bump up, and I can do that with my vibrance mask. So I'll go back here, and I'll go into my channels, and I'll go to my vibrance mask, and I'll load that as a selection. Go back to my RGB, go back to my layers. Again, make a hue saturation. Make sure I put that to saturation, like so. And I can go in here, and I can start bumping up some of these colors, but it does so in a self-feathering fashion. And then again, by using these in tandem, I can balance the overall saturation of my image with much more finesse than I could just by painting.